Now, one of the other things that we're going to be looking at here now are some of the different ways that you can view a particular thing. In this case, of course, seeing as how we're looking at the gate screen, you'll notice that the wording on the top there tells you what you're actually working with. Change this, turns up as parametric EQ, change it down there, showing the compressor page, and so forth. Now, when you want to switch it back to a regular view, you can look at, if you touch the particular channel again now, we are seeing the display of all of the different channels as they are being shown in a very similar fashion to what's on the mixer surface. Now, if you wanted to switch to the routing, then you hit the routing button underneath, and so even though the names of the channels all stay the same up at the top, you are now seeing, for example, probably the most important things that I'm using in particular happens to be the mute groups, the mute group assignments, the mix sends for left right, and also mix sends going to the auxiliaries. Effect sends, although it's here, I'm not going to be using that too much today. But mute assign, and it's kind of hard to see right off the bat unless I bring it in really close here. But as you can see, when you go down to the mute assigns, nope, it's not really quite showing it there. Not as nice as I'd like, but anyways, under mute assign, it is showing probably better from a distance here. In this case, it's showing number 2 and showing number 2 and number 3. In this case, when you're looking at it in kind of the general view like this. So when I actually select the one of the soft keys over here, in this case I've got soft number 3 set to turn all of the lines off. So when I press that to turn all the lines off, as you can see, all of the faders now begin flashing red. Some of the ones which I have permanently set off, set to the off mute position, they flash at a different rate, but they're all still turned off. If I press soft 3 again and turn it off, then the lines that I want open are now open and active and being able to get either vocal from a singer or a input from a guitar, so forth. So now when I hit any one of these 3 here, either the main sends, mix sends, or effect sends, if I touch that area, now you can see that I have a selection of different auxiliaries, and in this case, if you scroll over to the right, there's groupings that can be activated, there's effect sends that can be activated. So all of these things are now selected for an individual line. Now, one of the things I found interesting as I was just toying around with this was if I were to select the level for, let's say, the monitor mix of that particular strip, which is going to be going out to our speakers on the platform, I can not only adjust the level here, so I can adjust it using this soft key again, or as can be mentioned with that mix keys had before, I can use the faders. One of the things I like is that as I select different channels, it stays on the same monitor mix, but it just goes from one input to another input to another input. But this stays on the same monitor mix. So if I wanted to jump between one and another while I'm on this screen, then the level that I'm actually working with stays at the same place, and it just jumps from channel to channel as I'm going along with it. Again, the same thing happens with the phonic ear, anchor, recording output, and so forth. So left, right, would be your main sends over here, which is going to be going out as I'm pushing the fader for that channel. So this is going to be the main output to the master left-right. And now when so then when you hit effect sends, when the if you hit the effect sends, then that also gives you the option of turning those on. As you can see, the green here goes up as a bar, but when you're working with groups, if I turn on a group for this particular line, you notice that this number 12 now becomes a little pink dot. So turn that on, turn that off. So essentially these last four that are listed here, 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the SQ6, those are the groupings for the auxiliary outputs on the back of the mixer. Those are the groupings, for example, whether it's drum, lead vocals, background, so forth. That pink dot lets you know that they're active, and that particular line is now assigned to group number 4. So I'm just going to turn that off. When I hit this again, then it goes back to what I would call the multi-track screen. But as you can see, whether it's left-right mix sends or your effect sends, all of those can be very quickly seen at a glance as far as what you have set up, what the levels are at, and what is currently active. And you can just scroll across just by using a light finger touch in order to be able to see all of the other channels and what they are doing. So hopefully that will help as well.